So in this video, I want to talk about one of the fears that arise in you when you want to become a meditator, and a hindrance if you don't have this thing, if you are a meditator. And that is a safe container and community that you can show up anytime in as you are. A lot of spiritual communities bypass a lot. They bypass a lot. And they curb the conversation. They have no way to allow feelings. You're a human being. And a third of your sensory system that pings off the rest of your sensory system is how you are feeling. It comes up in the form of feelings. So if your community or Sangha doesn't have a way to welcome that, welcome that at like these communities, and a Sangha, S-A-N-G-H-A, is just a meditative community. The ones that I am in that allow for deep communication, they don't like bypass or silently disencourage you from talking about things. And when you show up in that container, you get to dialogue in real time with your practice. That's the other thing I'm not seeing a lot of meditation communities or spiritual communities talking about. Real dialoguing with other. So it's not just like you're going to share, but there's a witnessing that's happening. Because here's the fear. I started talking to you about this is the biggest fear that arises is, as I'm getting intimate with myself, into me I will see intimacy. That's what meditation is. That's what meditation is. You are getting super intimate with yourself, with your thoughts, seeing, look at my rumbly thoughts all over the place, with your sensations in your body, with your attentional bandwidth that you do or don't have, and you usually don't have at first. I'd be like, oh my God, my squirrel monkey mind, right? So you're learning to know thyself. Like that is what this practice is. And so you're getting intimate with yourself. And in this day and age, we're so isolated and we're so individualistically isolated to suck it up, keep your shit together, and then judge the shit out of everybody. In this very dominant culture, we're shutting the shit out of everything. So of course we're like, I can't bring that to the group. I can't share that. I can't, let that out. And the last living Buddha was said to have said to his main teacher, Ananda, when Ananda came to him and said, wow, I really was profoundly impacted today and realized that community is like half of this practice, this contemplative practice, this meditative practice, this journey to know thyself. And the Buddha looked at him and he said, no, Ananda, it is 100% of it. It is 100% of it. So that's a bold statement. Like it's 100% of it, meaning not only can you not have community, but it is one of the most impactful things in your growth in this process, which is an oxymoron, because when we think about meditation, we see the person like sitting on the cushion, this peaceful and quiet, and you're like, oh, that must be like a solitary practice. And in the belly of the practice, and traditionally, it has been 100% solitary in that bit. And then you go out and maybe you hear a Dharma talk, the teacher gives you a talk about what you're practicing and what to expect, and then you ask questions and all of that sort of stuff. But you don't really commune much in a community, a meditative community with emotional intelligence, to be able to feel all emotions, all ranges of emotions at all times, and still act accordingly, to allow yourself to feel those emotions. They come up and they come out. They come up and they come out, and they wave through you. And they wave through you with two things: information and energy. So you have a safe space to go, what is the important insight, information this emotion has for me? And what am I learning about the energy of holding my emotions, stifling down? Or what am I learning about the energy of fear or anger as it rages through my body? Because quite often there's a little bit of self-righteousness to that anger. You're up on your pedestal and you're good, you're better than thou or whatever. So to have a community that supports you and goes, oh yeah, I felt that before, you're not alone. Like, that's a thing with anger. That's a common, universal, human, universal thing. But we live in a world where we're isolated. And not only do we live in a world where we're isolated, we live in a world where there's literally a loneliness epidemic, because people don't have spaces of deep community where they can communicate what is really, really going on. Where they can say, as I check in with myself, I'm feeling low energy and sadness in the belly of my stomach, and I am sitting with that. And you know that somebody in that group isn't going to try to therapize you. And you know that you don't have to tell, all the million minutiae points of the why you're feeling sadness, which is another dysfunctionality of the way we function with emotions in the world, is to just shit or vent all over people without permission, to just go into like the story of been around that person that 15 minutes later they finally simmer down and they've, and also that's a part of the process, is knowing how to like skillfully vent about it and have protocol and container for venting. This is really important. And this is where the meditator who will start their practice, think it's an isolated practice, they may even go to retreats for years and years and decades, and they may think, oh, well, we don't talk about things. This is a community that doesn't communicate. This is a community that doesn't commune with each other. Oh, I guess I just keep that to myself, or I go to a therapist. And growth is stunted. Your growth is stunted. What did he say? It is 100%. If you want to like exponentially hit that growth curve in your practice, you're going to want a community, a Sangha. You're going to want to join a community in Sangha. And not the naughty old guru style ones, the old naughty guru ones that are still happening in many monasteries on this planet and in many communities on this planet. Open source teaching and communication, that they're not exclusive, they're inclusive, that they have mechanisms for communication. And they have deep meditative practices that recognize window of tolerance, that everyone in your community knows, oh, I know how to recognize when I am out of my window of tolerance, to be able to metabolize those emotions and to have mechanisms and to have language around things, because so much of meditation happened. For me, it's happened for every serious meditator who's done a lot of meditation. So much of meditation that's happening on this planet right now is done outside of the window of tolerance. And you're like white knuckling it as you go. And it may be that you go to a place and they're like, you feel like you're being forced to sit still. A kriya comes up and you can't let it out because you can't move, so you gotta like just let it ride through silently in the body, and you're like, oh, would be much easier if I could actually move my body or do something to let this kriya out. And also you do learn the other way, but there's so much sometimes pressure in these containers without a release valve, a communication valve, a mechanism valve, to really do like some kind of communication practice of what's really going on. So you're in there and you're isolated, and then that's when you start tying more knots as you're trying to untie the knots. You're there to change your default network mode of reacting, and yet oftentimes meditation happens outside someone's window of tolerance. It's become abundantly clear. Every bit of my personal meditative practice, my practice as a teacher and coach, my practice as a retreat guide, is embedded in the container. How do we communicate? It's so paramount to have a container for that. Because one, all boats rise. And your practice will exponentially grow. And two, the thing that we are put on this planet for is to connect. If that's not happening, then ask the teacher why. Ask, what do you do? What do you do for this? Because so much, this dharma, this teaching, this wisdom has just, it's in the hands. This is why we get naughty gurus, but it's in the hands of the masculine. So it just like kind of bypasses this. But what's beautiful is there actually are more female meditators in these groups and in these communities. And then they're now seeing this. Oh, well, I don't want to be in a community where we don't like address all of it, 100% of it. What Buddha said was in there. Why are you not addressing that? Let's address that. Or we've lived through that stifling and we're like, okay, how do I repair that? Do you have repair? Empathy ruptures happen in every single community. It will happen. It will happen. Do you have an empathy repair structure and schema in place? Because you learn the most from those. Oh, they're juicy. They're like little juicy pots of emotional intelligence training goodness. If you're doing them right and if you have systems in place for those. So the first question I get asked when people are like, ooh, I really want to come and learn to meditate. And I say, okay, you can sign up for a course. It's fabulous. People come in, they get to ask questions, or part of a Sangha or community, or you can go to a retreat, or somebody's like, oh, wait, I have to get like off an app and actually be in a room with other people. Like, well, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know about, do I have to share? I have to look at it, you know. When you look at this topic, so much compassion arises in yourself because you see your crazy monkey mind and you see how unskillful you are at navigating your emotions or even admitting they're there, at having empathy, at whatever it is, at how much it pings your sensory system and you're off to the races and it's sloppy and messy because you're human, and that's every human, right? When you really start to look under the hood, if you really want to know yourself, not just lip service and say, oh, I'm a meditator, I meditate every day. When you really want to learn this skill, have it as a refuge every day. It's just that this skill comes online. And you realize it's a universal experience and you're not alone. You can just unfurl and be yourself. And this is where the healing comes in. You can't just change the default network mode, switch on the non-dual switch. You gotta, like, even Ken Wilber says it, like, integrate that shit. You gotta integrate it. And you're gonna bypass all these things without community. Because the community is a mirror. And that first looking in and seeing all your stuff, that gives you that intimacy. Into me I will see, and I will have love and compassion for myself. And in turn, you have love and compassion for everyone else in the Sangha and community because you're like, oh, yeah, I've been there. I may be there tomorrow, back again. But like only till the day I die, as I learn more skill and more clarity, sensory clarity, and I have more bandwidth of equanimity. And when you come into that space and you're finally fully seen by yourself, you can love yourself too, even with all that weirdness and sloppiness and messiness. And you are seen and heard. You realize, here's what you realize. You are not alone. Darling, you are not alone. These are universal experiences. And there's such a relief and a nourishment. That is why we are lonely, because we feel alone. There's a loneliness epidemic. Okay, I'm going to stop babbling about this and we'll do a little meditation practice on it. Imaginal meditation. There'll be a video that pops up if you want to explore, like, If any part of that pinged any part of you and you want to know for yourself, we'll do a little imaginal meditative practice. Pretend you're in a Sangha, in a group, in a community that holds you. How about that, babe? Happy to share the Dharma, like happy to share.